1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Munib Ahmed. The headlines. President says Pakistan Air Force is fully capable of defending the country against any misadventure of the adversaries. Foreign Minister says establishment of peace in Afghanistan is indispensable for peace in Pakistan and entire region. The Director Generals of Military Operations of Pakistan and India have agreed for strict observance of all agreements, understandings and ceasefire along the line of control and all other sectors. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Hurriyat Forum has called upon India and Pakistan to address core issue of Jammu and Kashmir for peace in the entire South Asian region. United Nations has urged Gulf states to set up efforts for raising approximately $4 billion required for humanitarian operations in Yemen. In Pakistan Super League, Lahore Qalandars will take on Multan Sultans while Bishar Zalmi will play against Quetta Gladiators in Karachi tomorrow. Now, the news in detail. President Dr. Arif Alvi says Pakistan Air Force is fully capable of defending the country against any misadventure of the adversaries. Addressing the 50th anniversary of Mirage and Colors Award at Shorecourt today, he said PAF has proved its mettle on various occasions by giving a befitting response to adversaries, especially to our belligerent neighbor India, despite limited resources. He said Pakistan wants peace, but any hostile move will be retaliated strongly, as was done on 27 February in 2019 when PAF shot down Indian aircraft. The president said Kashmir issue should be resolved in light of UN resolutions for enduring peace in the region. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says establishment of peace in Afghanistan is indispensable for peace in Pakistan and entire region. He was talking to the special representative of Afghan President Muhammad Umar Daudzai, who called on him in Islamabad today. During the meeting, intra-Afghan dialogue, regional situation and matters of mutual interest came under discussion. The Foreign Minister said Pakistan wants political solution to the Afghan issue through comprehensive dialogue process. He said Pakistan, in its efforts as shared responsibility, will continue to play a conciliatory role, expressing concern of Pakistan over violence incidents in Afghanistan. Shah Mahmood Qureshi emphasized the need that all parties should play a role in furthering the process of negotiations while reducing the violence. Minister for Federal Education Shafqat Mahmood has announced that all educational institutions across the country will resume regular 5-day classes from Monday. In a tweet today, he said this decision is applied to all educational institutions situated in cities where restrictions pertaining to COVID-19 pandemic were imposed. The minister further clarified that all educational institutions will continue to observe normal corona SOPs such as physical distancing, mask wearing and ensuring hand washing facilities. The Election Commission has ordered repolling in the entire constituency of NA75 Daska in District Sialkot. The ECB announced its reserve verdict in Islamabad today. A 5-member bench of the Election Commission heard the case and the decision was announced in presence of the candidates. The Director Generals of Military Operations of Pakistan and India have agreed to address core issues and concerns which have propensity to disturb peace and lead to violence. According to ISPR, the two Director Generals of Military Operations held discussions over the established mechanism of hotline contact. The two sides reviewed the situation along the line of control and all other sectors in a free, frank and cordial atmosphere. Both sides agreed for strict observance of all agreements, understandings and ceasefire along the LOC and all other sectors with effect from last midnight. Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on National Security Dr. Moeed Yusuf has said it is the responsibility of India to create an atmosphere for regional peace. Expressing his views on the recent interaction made between Pak-India Director General's military operations, he said, "We have repeatedly called for peace in the region." Dr. Moeed said it is the result of Pakistan's efforts that India is pursuing mutual understanding for peace in the region. The special assistant said the Kashmir issue should be resolved in the manner prescribed by the United Nations as per its resolutions on the issue. This is Radio Pakistan. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Hurriyat leadership, including Hurriyat Forum led by Mirwais Umar Farooq, has called upon India and Pakistan to address the core issue of Jammu and Kashmir as per aspirations of Kashmiri people in the interest of sustainable peace in the entire South Asian region. In their separate statements, Hurriyat leaders said that the Kashmiris would continue to face bloodshed till the dispute is resolved in its historical perspective. Meanwhile, posters reading slogans like Pakistan Zindabad and Kashmir Banega Pakistan appeared in Srinagar and other parts of the Kashmir Valley. On the other hand, the health of chairman of Tehreek-e-Hurriyat Jammu and Kashmir Muhammad Ashraf Sehrai, facing illegal detention since last year, has deteriorated sharply at Udhampur jail in Jammu region. At the United Nations, Pakistan has apprised the Security Council that India's illegal military occupation of Jammu and Kashmir is among its worst UN Charter violations, and struggle for right to self-determination cannot be equated with terrorism. Speaking at the Arya Formula meeting, Pakistan's permanent representative to the world body, Munir Akram, said after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, the fight against international terrorism has been utilized to justify the unilateral use of force and foreign intervention. Munir Akram said peoples whose right to self-determination has been recognized and which is being forcibly suppressed have the right under the Charter and the resolutions of the UN General Assembly. At the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, Pakistan has drawn the attention of international community towards EU Disinfo Lab's revelations in its investigative reports about India's state-sponsored global disinformation campaign against Islamabad. Speaking in his right to reply, Pakistani delegate Junaid Suleiman rejected Indian statement at the council over the Kashmir dispute as well as the plight of Indian Muslims. He termed the Indian allegations as desperate attempt to deflect attention from India's extensively recorded human rights crimes in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and against its own minorities. The United Nations has urged Gulf states to set up efforts for raising $3.85 billion required for humanitarian operations in the war-torn Yemen during current year. The call was made by United Nations Aid Chief Mark Lowcock while talking to reporters in New York. He warned that if the world body does not receive the required money at a virtual pledging conference to be held on Monday, we are going to see the worst famine the world has seen for decades in Yemen. U.S. President Joe Biden has revoked a ban imposed by former President Donald Trump to block green card holders from entry into the United States. In a proclamation, he said the ban had harmed U.S. businesses and had prevented families from reuniting in the United States. The chief of U.S. Central Command, General Kenneth McKenzie, says Washington always reserves right to respond to attacks at the time and place of its choosing. Addressing a webinar organized by Beirut Institute, he said this was shown last year when a U.S. drone strike had killed the head of Iran's Quds Force and the deputy leader. General McKenzie said that Taliban have refrained from attacking U.S. coalition troops, but there are still worrying signs. Facebook has banned the military junta of Myanmar from using its platforms with immediate effect due to the risks evident from the deadly violence seen since the coup. Meanwhile, protests and strikes are continuing in Yangon city for the past 3 weeks. And finally, the weather. Cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, cloudy weather with rain, thunderstorm and snowfall over the hills with few hailstorms is expected in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan and Upper Punjab. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News.